Hi, everyone. I was going to write this up and decided that I would share it as a video instead, mainly because I feel like everyone is doing a lot of reading these days. And so sometimes having a video is a little bit more intimate and we can have a little bit more of a connection. So the practice that I wanted to share with you today is around friendships. So one of the things that's happening in my 40s is friendships are evolving, they're changing. Some are growing stronger and some are fading. And so this is an area where I feel like I really wasn't tuned into this before this started happening to me. And so I want to, always kind of talk about things in real life that are happening. And so as some of my friendships were changing last year and it was feeling hard and I was having a lot of emotions about it and not really sure what to do with it. And I would talk to other women and men about it, and they would share, oh, yeah, I had that too. Or I forgot about that friend I stopped talking to, or this thing that hurt me. And so really brought light to it. And one of the things that I started doing in my journal, as I was kind of moving through this grief and the sadness of some friendships really changing, was honoring what I need now. Right? So thinking about what kind of friends I want to have in my life now, what kind of support I want to have in my life now, what kind of conversations I want to be having, what kind of conversations I don't want to be having. And then really using journaling and my own core desired feelings in relationship to attract and to work with and to seek out meaningful, deep relationships where we talk about the light and the dark, right? Where we're not afraid about telling the truth of our lives. That's really important to me. I'm not saying that should be important to you. But in my journal, I was able to map that out. What would an ideal friendship look like? What would a heartful friendship look like? What kind of way would I show up? How would they show up? And I started just kind of playing with that, writing little letters to a friend that was kind of make believe, but also, there's my dog, but also an integration of friends that I already have that are like this. And I made a little list that I keep here in my office of my soul friends. Just gonna pull it down to show you, like a little list like this that I keep here to remind me of the beautiful connections that I have, and that if I ever feel lost or lonely or sad or like I'm not connecting to people, that I can look at the list and say, oh, who do I want to contact from here? And the list has really grown since I started setting this intention. And what's really beautiful is that I've also been experiencing some invitations from sort of soul friends who I've never met in person. And I started saying yes to them. And we started having really deep and meaningful conversations. Also, the evolution of some friendships made space so that people who were asking me to do things spontaneously, or I was able to say, hey, do you want to go for a walk in the woods and have a talk about death or relationships or work or family or raising kids or being in a marriage or things that are good, things that are not good, right? But these deeper, more meaningful conversations are extremely energizing to me. Now, they may not be to you, so I'm not saying that's what you have to do. Is talk about money and death and grief and sex and loss and marriage in the woods with your people. That's what like I love to do. But what is it that you want in your relationships? What kind of friends? What kind of people do you want to be around? What kind of conversations do you want to be having? So I really encourage you to do this practice and spend some time. Notice that I said I've been doing this since the spring. It's now October. And so for months, I've really been building the soul list and looking for soul friends and making connections and putting myself out there, and also being open to helping and working with people who I deeply care about. And let's be clear, there's a difference energetically between doing it when you already feel connected and abundant and soulful, rather than trying to do it to seek approval or trying to have certain relationships because you want status or you want to get something from them, right? So the practice is not what do I want to get or what's the outcome. The practice is what do I want to feel in my relationships? What do I want to be talking about? What are the senses? I want to feel safe. I want to feel comfortable. What am I wearing? Where are we hanging out, right? I have probably 3 meetings a week since August that are in the woods with these people that I love so much. I'm intentional about spending time in the woods with these women who I adore. And really strengthening our bond as I move through middle age, which is really proving to have a whole host of issues and challenges I've never been through. And so wanting support for that. So looking also to support others and have really that give and take, that give and receive allow. So I'm also very mindful energetically of an exchange. So sometimes there may be a conversation where I'm really taking the lead because there's something going on that feels like I need their support and I want to talk to them about it. And sometimes I'm quiet and they're more active or they're talking more, but it's balanced, right? It's not a relationship that's just about one person or just about one person's needs. And also that there's an openness. So I know some of you guys probably have this. I have a few relationships that are a little bit outdated in that they are, one person is talking more openly and honestly, and the other person is guarded and saying everything is fine. And so I'm noticing as I get older that sort of everything's fine with the other side is not really the kind of deep relationship I'm looking for right now, because energetically it doesn't feel good to sort of share, here's an issue that I'm struggling with, or here's something I'm thinking about, and the other person to give feedback or the other person to give you their advice. And then for you to say, well, how are you? And they say, oh, I'm fine. So these are some things I've noticed: energy balancing, level of depth that I'm seeking. I know not everybody is seeking that. In the journal, putting some ceremony, some ritual, some closure to some of the relationships that have changed or evolved or are outdated, right? So lighting a candle, honoring the person for the time from which you were friends, and bringing to mind like good memories as a way of honoring the container of the relationship so I can move forward in a totally different way. So I hope that this practice is interesting and helpful. Bring questions and comments to our call because I'd love to hear how relationship practice is going for you. I'm taking a little note to make sure that we talk about that on the call. Okay, take care.